Good morning. Good to see you. Some human beings in this room with me. Large amounts of snow outside of the room with me and with all of us. So for those of you who are not in Minnesota, we're in the midst of a blizzard. The consequences, which are many. Consequences are many. And some of those consequences will make things that are happening this morning be different than planned in ways that I don't know. So I just invite you all to go with the flow here, and if there are little hiccups, we'll make it all work. And today is the day of our annual meeting, so the Dharma talk will be quite short today, probably about 15 minutes. We'll have the Dharma talk. We'll have our normal brief announcements, and then we'll shift to the annual meeting, which will occupy the normal time for the rest of the Dharma talk. So we'll have annual meetings about 35 minutes long, and just gets you an opportunity to get a sense of things that are happening here at MCMC, have happened, and are going to happen. And you don't need to stay for the annual meeting. We'll also elect a new board member, but I encourage you to stick around. It's kind of nice to know what we're doing here. We'll try and make it a lot of fun. Our administrative director was insistent the financial report will be 5 minutes or less. So I know that's your favorite part, but so anyway, I'm going to proceed now with the Dharma talk. So yeah, I thought this morning I'd talk about a set of related ideas, sometimes called the 4 grounds for favorable relationships, the 4 grounds for the bonds of fellowship, or the Bodhisattva's 4 methods of guidance. And I'll just begin by reading from the Sangha Sutta, from the Pali Canon. There are these 4 grounds for favorable relationship. Which 4? Generosity, kind words, beneficial help, and impartiality. These are the 4 grounds for the bonds of fellowship. And then it appears in verse form. Generosity, kind words, beneficial help, and impartiality in the face of events, in line with what's appropriate in each case. These bonds of fellowship function in the world like the linchpin of a moving cart. So various translators of this text, I kind of mixed up the translations, because I thought it would be a little bit easier to talk about. But yeah, the idea that there's these 4 bases for favorable relationships or bonds of fellowship. The sutra we're quoting from is called the Sangha Sutta. I don't really know what to do with the suffix, but Sangha is a term I've heard before. It just means community of practitioners. So, giving, kind speech, beneficial help, and impartiality. Sometimes these really lofty teachings are so simple. It's like, I think we probably learned a lot of this when we were 5 years old, or we're supposed to have learned a lot of this when we were 5 years old. The amazing thing is the tendency to forget. Boy, that's a good one. So these get a new name when we move into the Mahayana teachings, and they're generally called the Bodhisattva's 4 methods of guidance. So Dogen has quite a popular fascicle called the Bodhisattva's 4 methods of guidance, for which I'll read a little bit in a few minutes. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Flower Garland Sutra, the opening chapter, which is about 120 pages long in small print, is like extolling the virtues of many, 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 many bodhisattvas, and every one of them that talks about them employing or engaging in these 4 methods of guidance, giving. In the Avatamsaka, the translation that I prefer, what we see is the 3 first terms tend to remain the same throughout traditions, but the last one has a lot of looseness and variation in meaning. So if you recall in the Pali Canon, there's a complication that we have both the translation that we have, and then the fact that people were translating these texts into other languages thousands of years ago that then came to English. But I think what we can see here is that in the Pali Canon, they refer to the fourth factor as impartiality. So the ability really to view everyone as worthy of love and compassion in the same light. Everyone's joys to be worthy of our celebration in the same light. Everyone's difficulties to be viewed with equanimity in the same light, so we can meet their suffering without becoming activated ourselves. As we move into the Mahayana, in the Avatamsaka, the term we have in translation, but I think is pretty good, is cooperation. Oh, what happened there? It seems kind of different. Kind of different. So something, but that feels very relational, giving, kind speech, beneficial action, those all have the sense of like an outward going thing. Cooperation has this much more mutual feeling. And Dogen in Tanahashi's translations, they translate the fourth as identity action. Identity action. So this is, in a way, deeper. The idea is you are acting in a way that realizes that you are identical to the person you are acting with. And that might seem a little unusual. But what you can see is there's kind of the impartiality that the Pali Canon invites us into, this ability to see people with equanimity and view all with a sense of equality, is related to a sense of our action is not just going outward, but what is cooperative. And that's related to the sort of deeper or more bizarre or more beautiful or more complete view that we get after Huayan and into Dogen, where we are identical with the person we're acting with. So anybody who's currently in the Huayan class may be able to connect this to last week's lecture on the non-obstruction of things and things. Every individual particular thing is always identical to each other particular thing. I'm going to leave that there for now, but just wanted to connect that dot for anyone who's been studying that. But all of these, even if it feels very philosophical or remote or improbable or not true, all of them are pointing to something about being able to relate to people in a way that's kind, beneficial, that's a ground for favorable relationship, for bonds of fellowship, for the boundless compassion of the Bodhisattva, that is somehow about this unbelievably deep sense of relationship, unbelievably beyond our ideas about it, and into something like a total mutual identification. And yeah, I was just in a meeting with some people planning a curriculum having to do with non-cooperation with authoritarianism. Two curricula, one about non-cooperation with authoritarianism and one about preparing congregations for doing reparations for land theft and slavery. And we were very trying to work out how to talk about giving that is not like charity, that is not a person giving to another, but is something much more profoundly mutual. And we moved through parts of our curricula very quickly, and then that one was really confusing. So how to really recognize the totality of our mutuality is something that requires deep practice and consideration. Anyway, just a little couple brief things on each of these. Giving. Dana is, the first of the 6 paramitas. It appears in countless other types of lists in Buddhist rubrics for how to engage in liberation. Here we're just talking about how to create good relationships, how to be in fellowship. Dogen, in his Bodhisattva's 4 methods of guidance, opens the section on giving or dana or generosity. He says, giving means non-greed. Giving means non-greed. It's very helpful to recall that in Buddhism, the main reason for dana is because it makes you more free. That's the claim, is giving things away makes you more free. Any renunciation in Buddhism, the fundamental original teaching about it is that will get you more free. because your alienation from the person you're giving to will be diminished by the act of giving. Let's see. Let's just read something about kind speech. Kind speech means that when you see sentient beings, you arouse the mind of compassion and offer words of loving care. It is contrary to cruel or violent speech. So there are many excellent teachings on kind speech. A very famous rubric is just, is this true? Is it kind? Is it timely? But there's much more extensive kind of ways of talking about it. Really powerful practice to investigate. Each one of these is very rich. What does truth mean? It's not, we say, oh, I know it when I see it, but if you really look, sometimes it's a little bit complicated. But kind speech is speech that is conducive to liberation from suffering. So kind speech can take the form of like when, you know, my cat is grumpy and I'm like, oh, whatever, that's nice. You know, oh, little baby, yeah, honey, baby, whatever. Kind speech can also take the form of, I think what you're doing is profoundly harmful. I think it harms other people. I think ultimately it probably harms you. And I'm asking you to stop doing it. That's kind speech. So kind speech has a vast range of expression, but ultimately it's things conducive to non-suffering. Beneficial action is skillfully to benefit all classes of sentient beings, that is, to care about their distant and near future and to help them by using skillful means. So this is just this boundlessly inclusive. Skillful means just anything you could possibly do with your body or your mind, or in fact, speech is included, that would be conducive to liberation. So speech is kind of a narrow stream, and then once we get into skillful means and beneficial action, it's like this, the whole works. This is your whole life. Distant and near. This is not about sort of getting things worked out for the next 5 minutes. It's about being able to hold a broad view and engage in action that helps people be well. The fourth one is controlling other people. Just kidding. Just kidding. Identity action means non-difference. It is non-difference from self, non-difference from others. Action means right form, dignity, and correct manner. It means you cause yourself to be in identity with others. So when Dogen gets into this fourth one, it gets pretty mysterious. So we're not going to dig into that too far today, but I thought you'd give you a little flavor, because, you know, some of you like this stuff. But this fourth one has something to do with action that is beyond any ideas of separation. And that may seem impossible or mysterious or obvious, but it happens. So these are 4 bonds of fellowship, 4 bases for favorable relationship. They're how the Bodhisattva guides, and they are the things that guide the Bodhisattva. And I thought it would be nice to talk about something that's about community, because it's time for our annual meeting, which is about community. So thank you all for practicing these 4 methods day in and day out. I'm very grateful. And we're going to have announcements.
Speaking of generosity.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to do some other things. So go ahead.
Okay.